Recording in progress.
Good day, everyone, and welcome you all to the webinar on Indian road logistic industry. Mr. Shamsher Diwan, VP and Group Head Corporate Ratings, along with his team, will take you through the presentation. The presentation will be followed by a Q&A session with the participants. Over to you, Shamsher.
Thank you, Anju. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ICRA's webinar on the road logistics sector. I have with me my colleagues, Mr. Srikumar Krishnamurthy, Co-Group Head Corporate Sector Ratings, and Mr. Supriyo Banerjee, Sector Head and Expert for Road Logistics and Aviation Sector with me today. The road transportation sector, as you all know, forms the backbone of India's logistic infrastructure. Nearly 60% of total goods in the country are transported via road. Just like the other sectors of the economy, the road logistics sector was also equally impacted by the disruption caused by the pandemic. While large-scale and organized players were able to withstand the pressure, the smaller players, which account for majority of the road transport network in India, were severely impacted. Right from shortage of trucks to manpower and varied state-level restrictions, the sector witnessed challenging times. Although the demand environment has now improved considerably, especially post the second wave, the sector is now going through very high inflationary environment. To discuss all the current trends and also industry outlook, we also have with us Mr. Sunil Nalavadi. Mr. Nalavadi is the Chief Financial Officer of VRL Logistics Limited. He has over 17 years of rich experience in the financial sector, of which for the last 15 years, he has been associated with VRL. As part of VRL's senior leadership team, he has been instrumental in driving growth in the company, besides contributing towards its strategy and business expansion plans. He's also responsible for complete financial management and statutory compliance at the organization. Mr. Nalavadi was also instrumental in taking VRL public back in the year 2015. It is a privilege, sir, to have you with us, and we look forward to your insights on the sector. So without further delay, let me hand over this call to my colleague, Supriyo, for a brief presentation on the sector.
Yeah, thanks, Shamsher.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ICRA's webinar on the Indian road logistics industry. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all participants and especially to our guest speaker for today. The objective of today's webinar is to present our views on the impact of COVID-19 and key trends for the Indian road logistics industry, the impact of diesel price inflation on fleet operators, discussion on credit profile of domestic road logistic entities, rating actions by ICRA in the sector, and business outlook for the sector. Moving on to slide 5, we are at slide 5 now. With the country remaining under lockdown for nearly 2 months in Q1 FY21 last year, economic activity was significantly curtailed, leading to a contraction of 24% in its GDP last year Q1. The subdued economic activity coupled with restriction on movement and labor shortages also impacted the logistics sector. However, with the lockdown restriction gradually easing, economic activity and consequently freight availability improved sequentially. Further, it has also led to positive growth of GDP in Q3 and Q4 FY21 and was boosted by spike in government spending as well as mild turnaround in private consumption. If we move to the performance in Q1 FY22, GDP and GV expanded by record high of 21.1% and 18.8% respectively. As anticipated, the distorted base of last year's stringent nationwide lockdown obscured the impact of second wave of COVID-19 that was accompanied by staggered statewide restriction in Q1 FY22. Nevertheless, the sharp YOY expansion in Q1 FY22 is analytically misleading, as the real GDP in Q1 FY22 not only posted a sequential slowdown of 16.9% over Q1 FY 2021, but also trailed the pre-COVID level of Q1 FY 2020 by a considerable 9.2%. For FY 2022 as a whole, ICRA has revised its real GDP growth forecast to 9.0% from 8.5% in YOY terms. citing the brightening prospects for H2 FY22, benefiting from rapid ramp up in COVID-19 vaccine administration, healthy advanced estimates of Kharif output, and withdrawal of expenditure management measures related to Government of India's spending. The widening coverage of COVID-19 vaccine is likely to boost confidence, which will in turn re-energize demand for contact-intensive services, helping to revive the portions of the economy affected most by the pandemic. Now we move to slide number 6. The slide number 6 of the presentation shows the trend in road freight volumes. The movement of goods by road suffered a sharp setback in Q1 FY21 as the pandemic situation evolved and lockdown was implemented in full force. The certain curtailment of India's activity, coupled with subdued consumer demand sentiment and closure of borders, had a significant impact on movement of goods within the country. Additionally, migration of labor to native villages had a bearing in terms of availability of drivers and helpers required for goods movement. Nevertheless, situation eased from June 2020 onwards with clarification on movement of essential goods, resumption of industrial activity. In Q2 FY 2021, the situation had been better, resuming to 85% of pre-pandemic levels in July 20 and reached pre-COVID levels in September 2020. Road freight volumes continue to improve gradually over Q3 and Q4 FY 21 as the year progressed and supported by recovery in economic activities. Resurgence of COVID-19 cases by the end of the Q4 FY 2021 stalled growth in freight volumes again. The same is reflected by contraction in volumes over Q1 FY 2022. However, the recovery could be seen from June 2021 with similar level of freight volume as in February 2021 in July 2021 too. The recovery continues in Q2 FY 2022 too, as reflected in consistent rise in e-way and FASTag volumes, supported by faster pace of vaccination and declining fresh COVID-19 cases and gradual opening up of businesses. Imposition of nationwide lockdown invited widespread economic disruption, which was reflected in GST collections over Q1 FY21. Sequential recovery in macroeconomic activities supported improvement in GST collections from August 2020. This was also on account of notable moderation in active cases and gradual lifting of lockdowns. The average e-way bill generations dipped in April-May 21 sequentially given the disruption triggered by second wave of COVID, as evident from Exhibit 4. However, with faster vaccination rollout and falling cases from June 21 onwards, arrested any further impact will rise in daily e-way bill generation witnessed. It can also be seen from Exhibit 5 that movement of e-way bill generation is almost inversely proportional to the rise in active cases. Slide 8 shows the impact of pandemic on the railway freight volumes. Although railway freight volumes contracted in April and May last year on back of subdued economic activity, the impact was less pronounced as compared to road logistics sector. Volumes contracted by 35% and 21% respectively in April and May last year on YOY basis, as compared to 80% and 50% for road segment. Nevertheless, the pickup in freight volumes has been visible in rail logistics as well, with sequential growth trends visible from September 2020 onwards. This has been supported by lower disruption operation without issues like driver unavailability, confusion, state borders, etc., and dependence on commodities like coal, fertilizer, food grains, etc., which continue to be transported given their essential nature. The railways reported its highest ever monthly freight volume in March 2021, surpassing previous highs of January 2021. The freight volumes marginally declined in April owing to second wave of COVID-19 pandemic. However, post that growth has witnessed in May 2021, though post that moderation was witnessed due to seasonal effects largely due to monsoon. Overall, the impact on railway freight sector was much more insulated compared to the road sector. Similar to rail freight sector, seaway freight volumes were also less impacted by the lockdown due to dependence on bulk commodities like coal, iron ore, fertilizer, which continue to be transported given their essential nature. Nevertheless, sector faced challenges such as unavailability of labor for loading unloading, leading to congestion at major ports. Accordingly, volumes contracted by 21% during April 2020 and 23% in May 2020 on YOY basis. Nevertheless, volumes reverted to pre-pandemic levels by November 2020, and the reported sequential growth consistently from July 2020 to Jan 2021, with highest ever monthly freight volumes in March 2021. Similar to rail logistics sector, given the impact of demand due to resurgence of second wave of pandemic, sequential correction was witnessed in Q1 FY 2022. The moderation in volumes in Q2 FY 2022 is again on account of monsoon on cargo volumes, given the impact of heavy rainfall and cyclones on select ports impacting cargo throughput. Among the various subsegments of the logistics sector, the ones that has been most impacted by the pandemic are the asset-heavy players and the small fleet operators. Given the high fixed costs associated with owning trucks, warehouses, ships, and other assets, the players operating on a asset-heavy model witnessed significant pressure on cash flows and profitability during the period. On the other hand, asset-light were the ones who were able to arrest the pressure to their earnings to a large extent. Similarly, small fleet operators were more impacted than larger players in the segment, given their limited financial flexibility to manage operations, which exerted pressure on their cash flows during those challenging months. Additionally, it was observed that integrated third-party logistics players with presence across various modes of transportation and different segments of logistics value chain were in a better position to tide over the crisis as compared to simple goods transport agents. The latter witnessed significant erosion in business and earnings, while the former was able to offer logistics solutions through multimodal offerings, end-to-end logistics, etc., which helped offset the decline in road freight volumes to some extent. While the economy is bouncing back to normalcy, a sector that has reported impressive bounce back is e-commerce, where there has been a significant increase in shipment in H2 FY21 onward, arguing well for the logistics players, both captive and otherwise, having presence in the segment. Various factors continue to drive the growth in the sector, including continued aversion to visit public spaces like market and malls, increasing in hyperlocal deliveries, rising number of product categories, and brands moving to online presence, etc. This is expected to continue going forward too, at least in the near term, and express logistics players, especially in those e-commerce space, are likely to outperform other segments. We are now on slide 12 of the presentation, which shows the trend in freight rates vis-a-vis diesel cost, which is primarily driven by crude oil prices. During Q1 FY 2021, given the challenges related to driver availability, freight rates remain firm despite the subdued demand scenario. However, the ability to effect further rate hikes was limited in Q2 FY 21 as these issues corrected. With gradual opening of the economy during H2 FY 2021, fleet operators largely resorted to rate hikes given the rising fuel cost environment. Additionally, freight rate increased by approximately 9% during FY 2021 over March 2020 levels due to favorable demand-supply dynamics. Coupled with increase in fuel utilization levels as freight volumes picked up, pressure on the cash flows of operators reduced to large extent as the year progressed. Nevertheless, with diesel prices continuing upward trajectory, operators' ability to effect further rate hikes would be key to protect their margin, given there could be some near-term cash flow pressures going forward, especially for the small fleet operators. It can be clearly seen from the graph that road freight movement index has almost mirrored that of the diesel price over last 18 months. We'll now move to the financial performance and rating actions. Slide 14 shows the quarterly trend in revenues for ICRA sample, which consists of 10 listed logistics players across the value chain. In Q1 FY21, the aggregate revenues contracted sharply by 56% on a YOY basis. This was in line with curtailed economic activity, which significantly impacted freight availability during the quarter. Additionally, issues like non-availability of drivers and helpers, closures of state borders, lack of return load, etc., impacted the normal functioning of fleet operators. Both full truck load and supply chain management business were negatively impacted by the suspension of manufacturing activity and tepid consumer demand. While companies operating on less truckload model were better positioned to cater to the reduced requirements. Some of them faced challenges due to restriction on operation of hub located in severely impacted areas. The express cargo segment fared relatively better, supported by healthy traction for e-commerce sector. However, express segment with dependence on document movement, especially air cargo, was severely impacted and office primarily remained shut during the period. During Q2 FY 2021, the situation has improved sequentially as the country entered into the unlock phases. The economic activity gradually revived, supported by the sequential recovery in the economic activity and freight availability. The revenue grew by 103% on QoQ basis in Q2 FY 21, 20% in Q3 on a sequential basis. With continued recovery across economy segment and macroeconomic indicators, the logistics sector reported a YOY growth of 20% in QI FY 2021. The revenue stability was supported by sustained recovery across all the sectors, both full truckload and less truckload, along with supply chain management businesses benefited from the pickup in manufacturing activity and consumer demand. Further, the express cargo segment continued to report healthy momentum supported by traction of e-commerce sector. The resurgence of COVID cases halted the growth momentum in Q1 FY22 with 17% QoQ decline witnessed sequentially. However, given the faster pace of vaccination and declining fresh COVID cases, the sector is poised for a sequential growth in the subsequent quarters. The slide 15 depicts a strong linkage of the sector to movement in GDP, and one can see the blue and green line almost moving in tandem over the last 9 quarters, which is being displaced. The growth in freight rates was somewhat stable in FY 2020. However, with disruption due to lockdown on availability of fleet as well as movement across trade borders, freight rates started to inch upwards with shortage of fleet as well as diesel price being the key contributors to the same. We move to slide 16. In Q1 FY 2021, OPM of ICRA rated sample contracted sharply on account of gross underutilization of assets during the lockdown phase, despite the implementation of cost-saving initiatives in the lockdown situation. After experiencing a sharp contraction in earning in Q1 FY 2021 on account of gross underutilization of assets during the lockdown phase, margin recovered smartly during Q2, which was retained to large extent in Q3 and Q4 FY 21. Continuous cost checks, hike in freight rates, and further improvement in asset utilization enabled sustenance of margins over the quarters despite rising diesel prices. On YOY basis, the margin improved notably to 160 basis points. Resurgence of second wave in Q1 led to dip in margin, largely driven by underutilization of asset due to dip in end user demand and its cascade impact on business. However, as the impact of several cost control initiatives like employee salary reduction, rental waivers, and reduction in lorry hire charges were temporary in nature, ICRA does not expect this improvement in profitability to be sustainable. The problem is compounded by the continuing firming up of diesel prices. The margin and its sustainability will continue to depend on consumer demand sentiment, trend in diesel prices, and the competitive intensity within the industry. Further, the ability of the firms to hike rates will also be critical. Slide 17 summarizes the rating distribution and rating actions in the sector. Around 59% of the rated companies are investment grade category and the rest are non-investment grade category. With regard to pandemic impact, ICRA has classified the sector as medium risk category. Since March 2020, negative rating action has been taken for select entities, which include rating downgrades and outlook revision owing to weaker than anticipated financial performance and expected adverse impact of the pandemic. However, the situation has progressively improved, and currently there are none of the rated entities carry a negative outlook on its long-term rating. The credit ratio, which is defined by number of upgrades to downgrades for the sector, was 1.25x in 2020. However, there were no upgrades in 2021 due to pandemic-related uncertainties. However, ratings remained unchanged for select entities in the sector, supported by strong parentage or linkages with a strong group that lends financial flexibility. Further, in H1 FY 2022, there were 2 upgrades vis-a-vis 0 downgrades. Moving on to ICRA's outlook on the sector. With the sudden spike in COVID cases in the second wave, the growth momentum was hampered in Q1 FY 2022, with 17.5% dip witnessed in top line on sequential basis. However, there has been a gradual revival in Q2 FY 2022 with steady fall in fresh COVID cases. The logistic company's ability to hike rates will be key determinant to sustain profitability in the near term. ICRA expects the sector to recover at a faster pace than previous fiscal due to relaxation in lockdown-related restriction and improved vaccination drive. Hence, though the performance in Q1 FY 2022 was muted, given the aforesaid reason, the sector is likely to grow at a pace between 6 to 9% for the full fiscal FY 2022. In terms of various segments, road logistics will be the most impacted given the second wave impacting Q1 FY 2022 performance. Growth drivers over the near term are likely to remain e-commerce, which has reported healthy pickup, while the manufacturing and consumption activities are only recovering to previous levels. Railways, freight, and port volumes are likely to remain steady given the essential nature of commodity transported as visible during the lockdown. Overall, the outlook on Indian road logistics sector continues to be stable, given estimated resilience of the sector amidst likely continuation of industrial activities and increasing pace of vaccine rollout. As mentioned earlier, resurgence of COVID cases during Q1 FY 2022 is likely to restrict the revenue growth to 6 to 9% in FY 22. The logistics company's ability to hike freight rates to remain crucial for the sustenance of profitability amidst rise in fuel cost in the current fiscal. Despite the significant challenges imposed by COVID-19, many of the companies continue to report relatively stable debt metrics as facilitated by cost rationalization measures and prudent working capital management. Further, COVID extended relief by RBI last year and strong revenue recovery over Q2 to Q4 in FY 21 offered respite to cash flows. Any deferment of rate hikes by RBI and lower finance cost ease the pressure over debt coverage metrics. Overall, on medium term, growth will be driven by demand from segments like e-commerce, FMCG, retail, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and industrial goods, coupled with industry paradigm shift towards organized logistics player post GST and e-way bill implementation. The key takeaway from the presentation is sequential recovery is witnessed in Q2 FY 22 with decline in COVID cases, which should support the growth in the next half. Subdued asset utilization coupled with rising fuel inflation impacted top line in Q1 FY 22. Ability to hike rates to counter the rise in fuel cost will remain a key determinant of profitability levels. Credit profile of logistics companies across the value chain to remain stable. Growth for FY 22 is expected to be in 6 to 9%, though moderation in margins is expected given the rise in diesel price inflation and absence of COVID-induced cost rationalizations. Thank you. I now pass on the mic to Shri Kumar for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Supriyo. Thanks a lot. Sir, good afternoon, sir. We have covered the presentation. We would like to take your insights on the industry as well as especially the near to medium term outlook. To start with, sir, when we talk about COVID-19 pandemic, this period has been a bit of a challenging one for most of the sectors. Talking specifically about road logistics sector, apart from being challenging, it has also thrown us a good amount of opportunities, especially to the organized players, where we see that the pace of recovery has been quite substantial. Could you please take us through how it started and how the organized players actually behaved and how they responded to these challenges and how they picked up these opportunities to start with before we move to specific questions?
Yeah, definitely. Good afternoon to all participants. Basically, see, the pandemic impacted, very bad on our industry compared to other industry. Basically, as you mentioned in your presentation also, this is almost around 80-85% of the operators are small operators and with unorganized structures. So their position in the industry because of this COVID restrictions impacted very badly. One is because of the slow demand in the market. And the second thing is about increase in the compliance level like e-waybill, e-invoicing and GST requirement. And the third thing is about increase in the diesel cost or increase in the inflation cost. These three parameters have badly impacted on some of the small fleet operators. And that's the reason they are unable to revamp their business at a pre-COVID level even as of today. So because of this, even you can envisage in some of the financial market that a lot of the repayment and other things are not on the track. So that's a reason basically to give a backup. Since last year it impacted very badly in the first half, and it started recovery in September. And from September onwards, the recovery rate was very high. In the sense, actually, almost we reached pre-COVID level in the month of say October or November or so, and that trend has been continued till March. Again, because of this second wave, it impacted on Q1 of this current fiscal. And now, if we see the recovery from March last quarter, this June last quarter, last week onward, the recovery rate is again came at a normal level. And some of the data points just I want to mention. If you see the e-waybill data, it has been increased by almost 51% in this current half year as compared to last year. As even though last year was a very bad period, we cannot compare this data. But when we compare with 19-20 half year, it has been already almost shown around 16% increase in the e-waybill generation data. That envisages that the movement of the goods, the transaction levels have been almost improved at a pre-COVID level, and it is growing beyond that. And similarly, if you see the GST collection also, it has been almost increased by around 13% as compared to the normal period of 19-20. So that data also shows that again there are improvement in the transactions. And similarly, if we see the IIP numbers also in some of the selective sectors, it is progressively doing well. So considering all these parameters on a ground level, again, things are improving in a much better. But the scope is only for the organized player. The reason is the three factors just I mentioned about the compliance levels have been increased and the client level expectations are very high as of today. And apart from that, we have to give a competitive service and at a competitive rate. And apart from that, the fuel price we have to manage. The fuel price is directly, impact our margins. It is impacting all the operators. Basically, it is one of the major costs for all the operators. But only thing to control the fuel cost is some of the things we have to adopt. We have to think about the new technologies. In the sense, one is the alternative fuel, what we can use the biodiesel and all these things. It is a very cost effective compared to normal fuel. And apart from this, the e-vehicle, the electric vehicles, what the industry is already, some of the vehicles, some of the operators are using the electric vehicles for their local delivery and all these things. And apart from that, some of the, based on their scope of work or based on the volume of transactions, what they are handling, they can implement or they can source the fuel from the source level at a refineries and all these things. That will also have a better control on the fuel prices. And apart from that, being organized players, again, they can pass it on to the cost to the customers on an immediate basis. That is also possible. So just to summarize, there is a good scope and good development is happening in the industry. And definitely it is doing better than the pre-COVID level.
Okay. Thanks for a broad overview, sir. While this pandemic has been a challenge, but it has been kind of compounded by the factors that you just mentioned, like specifically this diesel prices. In your sense, this sector, the impact, if we have to talk about, would it be equal on the goods carrier and the passenger carrier, or how do you see, sir? Is there like one sector being affected much larger than the other?
Yes. The impact of this increase in cost, especially the diesel cost, it impacts more on a passenger segment compared to the goods. The reason is the goods sector, the goods transportation sector has been recovered very fast. But as compared to the passenger, recovery is very slow because it involves, the persons are involved in that. And even the traveling of the passengers compared to earlier versus today, it is not yet improved. So still there is a lot of idle capacities there in the system, and because of the idle system, the operators are unable to increase the rates in line with the increase in the fuel cost. That's the reason the performance or position of the passenger transportation sector is much poor as compared to the goods transport sector.
Okay. If we talk about the other challenges, like one was a diesel. Other thing is in terms of the driver availability. That has always been a challenge in the past as well. But post-pandemic, the kind of displacement that we see, and also the kind of new jobs that is available, specifically with a local delivery and a driver for radio cabs, etc. We do hear about a good amount of challenge for even for the organized players from the availability of drivers perspective. How do you see this, and when do you see this issue to be resolved?
About driver availability is always challenge for this industry. Even it is not only today, even in the past. But as a percentage wise, it has not been widened. So even earlier also there were shortage of the drivers and a lot of attritions were there. Even today, the percentage are more or less same. The reason is even some of the operators, what they are doing today, they are changing their thinking level. They are adopting good policies on the retaining of the drivers. So that is helping to manage drivers in a better way, especially to giving more incentives to the drivers, to giving all statutory benefits to them, to cover them into group insurance policies and all these things. And today there is more visibility on the accident policies and other kind of structures. Earlier there were no such kind of a visibility was there. Now even drivers are in a position to know that even something happened bad happened at the time of their journey and all these things. They are even their family members are they know that what are the benefits they are going to get. It is not only on a death or something like that. Even if they injured during the driving and all these things, there are good number of policies available. And apart from that, their earnings have been improved a lot compared to earlier. So that's the reason, availability of the driver is always challenge. It is not only today, even in the past, but the challenge will remain. Okay. Even if the newcomers comes, say in most of the cases, actually they operate in a intra-city or some of the shorter routes. Okay. So most of the younger generation or people who want to retain or stay at their home and all, they can operate with a local this one. But when it comes to the long route operators, we need to adopt the new technologies, new systems to give the driver more earnings, more facilities. Then only we can retain them. So that's a reason. As and when these industry will change, and as and when the shortage of drivers will come, accordingly we have to adopt new things, new policies, so that it will not create any havoc in the system, and we can manage it in a better way.
Sure. You just spoke about technology. So when you talk about technology here, it is very integral that the tracking of goods and consignment and delivery timeliness is all very important. So technology has played a big role. But from the market perspective, when we talk about technology absorption, how quick it has been, and we also talked about the opportunities that the pandemic gave. Technology has been one such opportunity, especially for the organized players. If we have to compare us, the Indian markets with the say global markets, how far are we in terms of, or how much have we grown in the recent times, and how far are we to catch up to the global standards?
Yeah, definitely the improvements are there in the technology, but not at a global level, to be precisely to be mentioned about it. And the reason is again, when we compare, totally industry level, see, again, it is because of the small operators, the 85% of the operators are unorganized, they are operating with the smaller plates. So they are unable to adopt the new technologies. And when it comes to organized players or new entrants, definitely they can adopt new technologies and new parameters. And this industry is having a huge scope to everyone. See, for example, now a lot of conversion, a lot of shifting is happening from unorganized to organized players, and everybody is having a scope to improve their business here. And basically, when it comes to customer, they look into, instead of B2C, just I want to refer a B2B. There are two concepts here. When it comes to B2C, it is required, a lot of this technical integration and other kind of a thing. When it comes to B2B, the technical or technology aspects will come only on a selective basis. Like you have to give the complete visibility of the consignment to the clients. They want to know that when the tracking of the consignments, basically, they want to have a real-time tracking of the shipments to manage their inventory and other kind of thing. And more of organized B2B players, what they expect from the operators is basically the system should be integrated. Our system and theirs should be integrated, the API integration and all these things. So they want to avoid the duplication of the work. So they want to monitor, they want to implement their system. Input should be, as and when the transporter will create information, that information should flow to the even at a client level. That kind of integration we have to enable. And a lot of this, on the other side, the operator has to do a lot of this route optimization and other things to reduce the transit time and all these things. And many people now, even operators, they are concentrating more on paperless offices versus the virtual payment systems also. They are also giving a lot of scope to the operator versus the clients. They are coming very close now. Earlier, actually, there were no visibility of these transactions or visibility of the status. Now there is a very clear-cut visibility among all the people who are in the system. That kind of information needs to be provided. When it comes to B2C, again, the parameter is totally different, and it is a new game altogether. In case of B2C, again, most of the cases actually sourcing of material is also important, as well as the delivery of the consignments to the smallest or remote areas. So that kind of technology requirements like SMS-based information or email-based information, that needs to be, it is driven by the individual customers rather than the B2B. So there are two parameters in case of a technology requirement. Accordingly, we have to adopt the new things here.
Okay. Sounds interesting, because we talk about the kind of investments. A part of the investment is actually now allocated towards technology improvement, which is nice to see. And also the fact that, we are looking for more of efficiency gains through that going forward. Interesting times. So moving on, I think we have a couple of questions from, our audience as well. Now the one question is more about the express players. Their question is that why are the express players expected to do well, relatively better than road freight operators? And they also want to know, if GDP grows at an X%, how much would a road freight and express logistics player would grow as a thumb rule? Any pointers on that, sir?
Yeah, express again. Express cargo means again it is a complete service to the customers. Basically, it should be door pickup, door delivery to the customer at a committed timeline. So during this time, what is happening based on the inventory management, all this perspective, even the client want complete service from the service provider. So that's the reason now the growth of express cargo is more as compared to other the normal general parcel, what we call. But even most of the operators currently, what is happening, even general parcel operators, they are giving similar kind of services like express cargo service. But there is no visibility or there are no bifurcation of transactions in case of a general parcel when it comes to express. But express is always having an edge over the general parcel. The reason is the clients wants complete service from the operators or service providers. So definitely it will have a more growth as compared to the GDP.
Okay. And within express cargo, sir, we talk about recovery. As the SME segment within the express cargo segment has recovered?
This express is again completely driven by the large corporates who manage the inventory and other kind of stuff. See, a lot of these SME customers, actually, they are not going for an express cargo. Basically, some of the SME operators, how they operate is they book the consignments, but even though the material has been reached to the destination, they will ask the service provider to store the material for some time, because their storage facility will not be the optimum level, and they want commodities as and when they want. That's the reason most of the SME customers actually they will not go for an express cargo. They always prefer a general parcel with some kind of a storage facility at a delivery stations.
Right. So, e-commerce has been one segment which has been a key driver for the growth in the recent times. With the economy opening up and also the pace of vaccination increasing, resulting in fall in COVID cases, do you expect the demand to kind of taper, or you don't expect that kind of impact?
See, again, e-commerce sector is totally again related to the B2C transportation or B2C movement of a goods, and a lot of consumable goods they are going to ship to e-commerce platform. But when it comes to other than consumable goods, the e-commerce is not a solution as of today. So that's a reason whatever B2C transactions, even the customer, textiles or whatever it is, the customer want to talking about the end user, the small individual customers. So such kind of customers always prefer e-commerce, and a lot of these consumable goods are going to ship to e-commerce platform. But when it comes to the business entities, the B2B transactions, the shifting of these commodities to e-commerce platform is not, they don't want that kind of a service. Actually, the service level is much different when it comes to consumables for B2C customers and the B2B customers. So B2B customers always they want to prefer the other transport companies, like it may be express cargo, general parcel, whatever it is. When it comes to the B2C transactions, definitely there is going to shift for the transactions to e-commerce platform.
Okay. So moving on, over the medium term, we see the penetration of electric vehicles to kind of kickstart now, and also the penetration to kind of improve over the next 3 to 5 years. For us, for the logistics sector as such, like how do you see this the improving penetration of EV segment, and do you see it will be kind of a game changer for the sector going forward?
Yeah, definitely it is a new opportunity to the operators, the electric vehicles. The reason is, again, it requires huge amount of investment at the initial stage. But when it comes to the cost of operations compared to the other vehicle versus e-vehicles, it is much lower. But the operator who is ready to or who is capable to invest more at an initial stage, definitely they can go for electric vehicles. And basically the cost of investment is more, and they can save, the operating margins will be much higher in case of electric vehicles. But as of today, what is happening currently? There is no availability of the vehicle for a higher capacity vehicle. Currently, what is happening? These are all low capacity vehicles available in the market, and the people can operate only the intracity movement on all these things. But the manufacturers or OEMs are unable to provide higher capacity vehicles which can operate for a longer routes. And moreover, there is a scarcity of infrastructure facility for the e-vehicles also. The charging points and all these things, it is not yet provided at an optimum level. Say, for example, if we started to operate, then obviously we will face a lot of hindrances at the time of journey. So that kind of hindrances should be removed. The infrastructure should be created in such a way that even the higher capacity vehicle should run from anywhere to anywhere in India. If that environment is created, definitely the cost of logistics or cost of transportation is going to be reduced, and it will give good environmental benefit also. But as of today, the e-vehicles market or e-vehicles utilization is not yet matured.
But when that happens, would our sector also need to kind of make some investments to cater to that demand? Or
yeah, obviously, currently, see what is happening. Most of the people are talking like the asset light model and all these things. They see they are not owning vehicle. They are hiring from the small fleet operator, like the people who are owning 5 vehicles, 10 vehicles, all these things. But there will not be concept of hiring of e-vehicles. So they will not get e-vehicles from these operators or these kind of owners. See, nobody will provide, own 5 vehicle, 10 vehicle, e-vehicle to give higher basis to other operators. Basically, the OEMs should come forward, and if they enable, that kind of, instead of transferring the ownership to the operators, if they start hiring the vehicles, giving all the infrastructure backup, definitely that kind of a model is going to support to the operators. But till there are no such example as of today.
Okay.
But it will change, and the entire industry currently, whatever the kind of process everyone adopting, like hiring vehicle from the market who are owning 5 vehicles, 10 vehicles, squeezing on the lorry charges, all these things. So these kind of possibility will not be there in e-vehicle, and there will be a lot of transformation will come in the industry.
Sure. Right. Another question, sir. This is regarding the scrappage policy, which kicks in the CV segment from April 23 onwards. What is your view in terms of the potential impact on logistics sectors?
Basically, this is a voluntary scrappage policy what the government has already they announced, and they are going to put a lot of stringent procedure to issue the fitness certificate post April 23. So because of this, a lot of vehicles are going to be off the road, which are above 15 years old vehicles. So the industry may face a lot of acute shortage of the vehicles from April 23. In the beginning of the year, actually, we are anticipating at least around 3 to 4 lakhs vehicles are going to be off the road, and that kind of a scarcity will be created in the system. So automatically, because of that, again, the lorry hire charges are going to be ramped up, and the people who are depending on the hire vehicle may face difficulty during this period.
Okay. And would this apply to all the industry segments? I mean, organized, unorganized, and who would be relatively better off?
Unorganized, definitely. Anyway, they are unable to revamp the business today, and whoever will buy the vehicles as of today, again, see, all BS6 vehicles are available now. BS4 vehicles are not there. Again, the maintenance of the BS6 vehicles are much different as compared to BS4. So people who want to own 5 vehicles, 10 vehicles, 20 vehicles to give it on hire to others, that concept itself will vanish in a short time.
Okay.
So basically, whoever want to be in the industry, they have to have an infrastructure backup, either by their own or hiring from at a large level rather than the small level what they are depending as of today.
Okay. One last question regarding the GST implementation. When the implementation happened, especially for the integrated players, there were differential duty rates and the GST rates for different modes of logistics. That concern was there. Has that been addressed now?
Yeah, still there are different. Say, for example, in case of express cargo, there is a different GST rate, and when it comes to multimodal, again the rate of the GST is different. And when it comes to the general parcel, actually they have given an option either by 5% or 12%. If it is a with input tax credit, they have given an option of 12%. Without input tax credit, 5%. But since the major cost of the operators or our industry, like fuel cost, is out of GST, there is no use when it 5% or 12%. If we shift to 12%, then automatically we have to, or for the customers, actually it will become further burden, or the operator has to increase the rate further. So that's the reason as of now it is not having a uniform rate across all the services. Still, in my view, once the fuel comes under GST, a lot of the leveling of a GST rate across all the service providers may be there. And one thing I would like to say is, see, after GST, this e-way bill, the face of the industry has been changed. Earlier, what used to happen, all the operators or transporters used to comply with all the state-wise requirements. Say, for example, if we want to travel from, say, or transport from Tamil Nadu to Delhi, all the state requirement, different entry level, exit level, we have to have a transit pass requirement. All these things were there. Now such things have been vanished, and moreover, there were product-wise different tax rates were there. Say, for example, in Maharashtra, if the product is taxable at a X rate, in Karnataka the rate would have been different. In Tamil Nadu, the rate of the same product was different. Now all products are having a uniform rate and uniform policy across the country. So because of this reason, now there is a uniform platform. There is a single platform to all operators across the India, and it is giving a lot of benefit to the operators, or it is becoming easy process for the operator that the compliance one way it has to be complied with the e-way bill requirement and other things, but there are no statutory obligation in terms of change in the rate or change in the compliances or change in the compliance of each state like transit pass and all. Such requirements are not there. That's the reason actually it is giving a lot of scope to the operator as of today.
Right. You talked about the role of GST, role of e-way bills, and in between we had a pandemic.
Yeah.
Going forward, if you can guide us in terms of what should the industry take, especially the fact that normally compared to the previous cycles we have observed that it has gone up and come down, like now we see this level of a fairly long time. So in this time, as such, in terms of responding to this, in terms of
industry is going to transform like anything. So it is transforming in a faster way as compared to earlier. See, a lot of this, the small operator or owner, definitely it is as compared to earlier. Yes, one in terms of compliances, they don't want additional burden on their head. The transporter has to give complete solution to the clients. And apart from that, since the things like MIS, the integration of systems, and they want a complete solutions rather than piecemeal system or piecemeal services. What earlier they used to depend on different operators. That kind of systems will be vanished. And apart from that, I mentioned all these things. A lot of these consolidations have been done in terms of owning of their warehouses, changing of their distribution systems, and all these things. So earlier, we used to say, even today, a lot of they're providing service only to selective routes. For example, if you see Delhi to Chennai, you will find n number of operators, but the same fellow will not provide service from Delhi to say Kolkata or Delhi to Hyderabad or Delhi to Bangalore. Now the person sitting at Delhi, earlier he used to have a different use to move full truckload for a first leg and L truckload in the last mile distribution. Now, after this consolidation of the warehouses, what is happening? From the original itself, we want to distribute his commodity across India. From the original point, it's to the client. That's the reason always he has to, now he is depending on the organized players. The person who will provide service from one point to multiple locations, he will survive with all this technical backup, with all these modern solutions. Otherwise, the people who are operating on a route basis, selective route or selective product, they are going to lose, or for such operators, there will not be any future.
Okay. Thanks, sir. I think those were one of the questions we had, and it has been a real pleasure having you for this webinar.
Thank you.
We would like to thank you for taking your time out and sharing your valuable insights in the industry with everyone, especially in a challenging and an uncertain environment for joining this event. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much
sir.
for the time and insightful views.
Thank you.
We can close, sir. Log up. Okay. Thank you.